Ladies and gentlemen, success does not favor the weak, the uncertain, or the one who simply wishes. Success kneels before the man or woman who demands more first from themselves and then from the world. You see, the great tragedy of mankind is not that we aim too high and miss. It is that we aim too low and hit. Part 1, the power of standards. Let me be clear, you do not get what you want in life. You get what you are willing to tolerate. The poor man does not choose poverty, he simply accepts standards that allow poverty to live in his mind. The unhappy man does not desire suffering, he just hasn't raised his standard high enough to demand joy, meaning, and progress. The great Andrew Carnegie once told me, Hill, a man is only as powerful as the standards he refuses to compromise. That lesson never left me. Part 2, raising your standards means burning the boats. To raise your standards is to declare to the world, I will not return to who I used to be. It means burning the boats of excuse, of laziness, of fear. It means that failure is no longer an option, not because you won't face setbacks, but because you refuse to stay down. Decide today that average is your enemy. Decide today that your current results are beneath your true potential, and you will no longer accept them. Part 3, action through purpose. Now let me tell you a secret, one the masses never learn. You can get anything you want, but only if your purpose is clear, your faith unshakable, and your effort relentless. You must back your raised standards with definiteness of purpose. Say to yourself, this I will do. Come what may, I will bend reality, time, and effort until it is mine. That is not arrogance, that is creative faith. That is the spiritual force that moves mountains. Part 4, the master key. You want more wealth. Raise your standard of contribution. You want deeper love? Raise your standard of communication and presence. You want mastery? Raise your standard of discipline and learning. The master key to success is not luck. It is alignment between your highest standards and your daily actions. Success is not a favor from life. It is a response to the identity choose closing call to action. So I ask you today, as a friend unsealed of purpose, what will you no longer accept? What will you now expect from yourself? And what will you do daily to deserve what you truly want? Raise your standards, hold them, live them, and the world will bend, as it always does, to the man or woman who refuses to settle. You rise or fall to the level of your standards. Allow me to begin by stating an uncomfortable truth. The average man is a slave not to his circumstances, but to his standards. He believes he is struggling because of what he lacks, but the truth is he suffers because of what he accepts. When a man sets low standards for his behavior, his habits, his income, his relationships, life responds in kind. It gives him the minimum because that is all he is prepared to command. Life, you see, is not sentimental. It does not reward wishes or dreams. It rewards requirements, and a requirement is born of high standards. Let us be clear, your standards are not what you hope for. They are not what you say in moments of enthusiasm. Your true standards are revealed by what you settle for when no one is watching. A man may say he wants wealth, yet rise at noon and waste the day in idle talk. A woman may say she desires love, yet stay bound to those who mistreat her. A student may say he wants success, yet fill his hours with distractions and delay. What does this tell us? It tells us that their standards do not match their desires. Desire is common, standards are rare. Desire is cheap, standards are costly, they demand discipline, clarity, and sacrifice. When I first began my work under the direction of Andrew Carnegie, he impressed this lesson upon me with the force of a hammer striking steel. He said, Mr. Hill, the quality of a man's life is determined not by what he hopes to achieve, but by what he absolutely refuses to live without. That single sentence has lived in my mind like a flame ever since. When you raise your standards, you create a new identity. You declare, this is who I am now, and nothing beneath this level is permitted in my world. At that moment, a new force begins to stir. You awaken something that has slept within you, a definiteness of purpose, a bold demand to become more than your past has allowed. Let me be specific. A man who once tolerated chaos begins to demand order, and his life begins to align. A woman who once allowed disrespect begins to insist on dignity, and her circle tranquils. An entrepreneur who once feared risk now commits to bold decisions, and profit follows. The moment you raise your standards is the moment the world begins to reconfigure around your will. Now, some may say, but Mr. Hill, what if I raise my standards and life does not change? To that I say, impossible. When a man genuinely, irrevocably, and persistently raises his standards and aligns his behavior with those standards, the universe cannot help but comply. It may not come in the form or timing he expects, but come it must. Understand this, standards are a magnet. They attract or repel circumstances according to the frequency of your identity. So the great question before you is not, what do I want? It is, what will I now refuse to tolerate in my life? What minimums am I done accepting? What maximums will I now pursue as my new baseline? Remember, it is not your willpower, your luck, or even your education that determines your altitude. It is your standards. Raise them. Then defend them. But once they are in place, the rest of your life must rise to meet them or be left behind. There comes a moment in the life of every great man or woman when they must look in the mirror and decide, will I remain what I have always been, or will I rise to become what I have always known I could be? This decision, though invisible to the world at first, is more powerful than any external force. It is the dividing line between mediocrity and mastery, between a drifting life and one of definiteness and dominion. To raise your standards is not a polite request to the universe. It is a command backed by courage and reinforced by a willingness to burn every bridge back to comfort. History remembers the bold not because they were lucky, but because they were committed beyond the point of return. They made no room for plan B. They removed all exit signs from the hallways of destiny. They burned the boats. Let me explain. In ancient times, a commander would lead his army to foreign shores with one mission: victory. Upon arrival, he would turn to his men and give the order, burn the ships. Now there was no escape, no retreat, no way home but forward through conquest. And so it is with the man or woman who seeks to raise their standards to raise in anything they desire. You cannot raise your standards and still entertain the habits of your old self. You cannot demand excellence and still flirt with mediocrity. You cannot speak of progress while holding tight to the crutches of the past. Raising your standards is a form of internal revolution. It is the death of your former self. You must destroy the idea that you can change while remaining the same. You must kill off the version of you that hesitates, doubts, delays, and compromises. For as long as you keep the boats anchored, as long as you allow the old past to remain, you will be tempted to turn back at the first sign of discomfort. And hear me now, discomfort will come. Every man who ever built something great, whether it be wealth, wisdom, or legacy, encountered resistance. But what separated him from the multitude was this: he had no way back. He had decided that the pain of growth was preferable to the pain of regret. My friend, you cannot conquer what you are still willing to tolerate. You cannot break through as long as you keep one foot in the world you're trying to leave behind. When I first committed to writing Think and Grow Rich, I faced rejection, ridicule, and deep financial uncertainty. But I had already burned the boats. I had resigned from comfort. I had committed not only to writing the philosophy of success, but to living it. There was no turning back. Huh? Your new standards must be so clear, so high, so non-negotiable that you eliminate all space for your former limitations. The door behind you must be locked. The key must be thrown away. You may ask, but Mr. Hill, what if I fail? Then I say, better to fail pursuing greatness than to succeed at being average. You may ask, but what if I'm not ready? To that I say, you're ready the moment you say you are. Readiness is not a condition, it is a decision. Do not wait for perfect timing. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the fear to leave. Take the step. Then burn the boats. Commit to the new you. And then make the cost of going backward greater than the price of moving forward. Let the world see your seriousness through your action. Let your new identity show up in how you speak, how you walk, how you prepare, how you refuse to negotiate with laziness, fear, or doubt, and above all, never look back. The man who burns the boats doesn't just change his environment, he changes his destiny. So ask yourself, what boats must I burn today? What parts of me no longer serve the life I've decided to build? What comfort have I been clinging to that's become a prison? The future belongs to the decisive, the bold, the committed. Burn the boats, raise your standards, and become unrecognizable to the version of you that once settled for less. Let me tell you something that may startle you. Every man who has ever built a fortune, every inventor who has ever bent the laws of nature, every leader who has changed the course of history began the same way, with a single burning purpose. Definiteness of purpose, my friend, is the starting point of all achievement. It is the fixed star in the sky of greatness. Without it, even the most gifted individual will wander aimlessly like a ship without a rudder. Let us be absolutely clear, there is no power in vague ambition. There is no strength in general wishes. The man who says, I want to be successful, but cannot define what success looks like is a dreamer, not a doer. You must know precisely what you want. You must see it so clearly in your mind that the world around you begins to bend toward it not by chance, but by law. Now you may ask, how do I know my purpose? The answer is simple. Your true purpose is the thing you cannot ignore. The fire that keeps returning no matter how often you try to silence it. It is the vision that wakes you in the middle of the night and refuses to leave. It is what stirs your spirit, stretches your potential, and speaks to the part of you that knows you were made for more. Once discovered, your purpose must become your obsession, not your hobby, not your weekend interest, not your casual desire. When a man marries his purpose with unwavering faith and consistent action, he becomes unstoppable. I do not say this as a theory. I say it as one who has witnessed it in the lives of giants, men like Henry Ford, who visualized an automobile for the common man when others laughed, men like Thomas Edison, who held a definite purpose to light the world long before electricity flowed into homes. These men were not lucky. They were driven. They had a clear purpose. They believed it was possible. And they acted day after day of fear after failure until success had no choice but to surrender. Let us not forget, faith without action is daydreaming. Action without purpose is wasted energy. And purpose without discipline is a broken promise. These three, purpose, faith, and effort, must operate as a trinity within your life. You may say, but Mr. Hill, I don't know where to begin. Then begin where all great men have begun, with a decision. Decide what you want. Decide that it shall be yours. Decide that you will pay any price that honor and effort require. And then move, act, work as if your life depended on it, because in truth it does. A man with purpose moves differently. He does not drift. He does not dabble. He does not beg for motivation. His steps are guided by inner fire, not external applause. Even when obstacles arise, and he does not panic. Why? Because his purpose is larger than his fear. His goal is clearer than the distractions that tempt him. Remember, life will always test you before it rewards you. The strength of your purpose will be measured not by what you do on the easy days, but by what you do when nothing seems to be working. If your purpose is strong enough, you will keep moving forward. If your purpose is weak, you will retreat at the first sign of resistance. So I ask you, have you defined your purpose clearly in writing and with emotional fire? Do you read it daily, morning and night, until it becomes a part of your spirit? Or are you acting on it today, not tomorrow, with everything you have? If not, then begin now. For the man with purpose cannot be defeated, only delayed. And the man without purpose cannot be helped, only pitied. Your power lies in your ability to decide, to believe, and to act. Not once, not twice, but daily, relentlessly, until the world itself must respond. Purpose is not a feeling. It is a decision to become who you were born to be, and the discipline to honor it every day. There is a key, one key that unlocks the door to riches, peace of mind, greatness, love, health, and whatever else your heart dares to imagine. I do not speak of luck. I do not speak of connections or chance. I speak of alignment, the sacred harmony between what you claim you want and how you live each day. This, my friends, is the master key to success. I have studied men of industry, science, and statesmanship for more than 25 years. I have observed their habits, their philosophies, and their private disciplines. I have sat with men like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Andrew Carnegie, and I tell you now with conviction, not one of them succeeded through mere desire alone. They succeeded because they made their actions match their ambitions. You may desire wealth. You may say, I want financial freedom. But if you rise late, if you waste your earnings, if you fail to invest in your own knowledge and your alchemy, you may desire health. But if you overindulge, avoid exercise, and neglect rest, your body will not listen to what you want. It will respond only to what you do. And herein lies a truth that most men never grasp. The world does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your standards in action. Now, allow me to ask you a question that may change your life. Do your daily habits reflect the life you say you want? If your answer is no, then you have not yet picked up the master key. Let me explain further. Every time you say, I want to succeed, but your actions serve mediocrity, you create friction between your vision and your reality. This internal war breeds frustration, doubt, and eventually defeat. But when your behavior aligns, when your habits, your schedule, your thoughts, and your standards all point in the same direction, then the friction disappears. Momentum takes over. You become a force of nature, Carnegie once told me a man is never truly powerful until all his faculties are pointed at one target, and nothing he does contradicts that aim. That is alignment. Now I must caution you, alignment is not automatic. It must be engineered, defended, and reaffirmed daily. It begins with clarity. What do you truly want? Not what society tells you to want, not what your peers pursue, but what you in the quiet corners of your soul were born to build, to become, to achieve. Next, you must raise your standards to match that desire. You must declare, if I want to live as a king, the first can no longer behave like a beggar. And then most importantly, you must convert your standards into action. If your standard is excellence, then your work must reflect excellence not just when you feel inspired, but every day. If your standard is wealth, then your discipline around money must match your ambition. Study it, respect it, multiply it. If your standard is love, then you must give it freely, speak it boldly, and cultivate it with intention. Each habit becomes a building block in the architecture of your destiny. And what if you fail? What if you fall short? Then you do what every great man does. You correct course, you recommit, and you realign. Failure is only feedback, a mirror showing you where your actions have slipped from your standards. Understand this, the most dangerous man is not the one with the highest dreams. It is the one whose standards and actions are one. That man moves with power. That man cannot be ignored. That man bends the world to his will, not because he is arrogant, but because he is congruent. So I say to you, stop waiting for motivation, stop excusing inaction, and stop expecting success from standards you do not enforce. Pick up the master key. Align your mind, your habits, your time, your energy. Make every decision a vote for the man or woman you intend to become. For when your standards and actions are one, life must obey. My friends, you have now heard the truth. You have been shown the power that lies within you, not in the hands of fate, not in the generosity of others, but in your standards, in your decisions, and in your daily actions. Let there be no doubt, you already possess the capacity to change your life in ways so dramatic that even your past self would scarcely recognize you. But capacity means nothing without commitment. So the question before you now is not whether this philosophy works, for history has proven it does. The question is, will you raise your standards high enough to meet the life that's waiting for you? Will you stop negotiating with your limitations? Will you burn the boats and decide there is no going back? Will you choose clarity over confusion, courage over comfort, and purpose over distraction? Because until you do, until you fully commit to living in alignment with the highest version of yourself, you will continue to live below your potential. And nothing, I repeat, nothing will ever satisfy you there. Your future is not written, it is crafted, and the tools are in your hands now. So I leave you with this. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Define the life you are now committed to live, and then raise your standards so high that they lift every corner of your existence. Do this, and you will become unstoppable. Do this, and you will not only get what you want, you will become someone the world cannot ignore. Good luck on your journey. Raise your standards. Live with purpose. Act with power. Thank you, and may success be your faithful servant.